Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Mike. I'm going to go over the release today. So I assume you all have taken a look at the release notes already for the August 29th, but let's go through it in detail. So the first one is force scheduling. Force scheduling is for the scheduling assistant. And this is in the case where you need, for a proper use cases, when you have an urgent ticket that's come in and you needed action on it today or tomorrow, but your engineers already has a full schedule for today or tomorrow. You don't know which ticket to remove or replace. You don't know how it's going to affect it. So we have introduced a force schedule button option. When you open the scheduling assistant, you'll see right away, this force schedule. And what's going to happen is when I press that button, first I'm going to go to the right day. So I'm looking at the 4th, and I'm going to schedule for my engineer here. So I'm going to hit the force schedule. Obviously, since I'm just testing it, this goes by ranking. Number one, obviously, would be the guy you want to pick because obviously it's empty. But for this case, I'm just going to go straight to mine for example purposes. So right away, you'll see a table here. We have ranking, which is going to show the most ideal engineer to schedule for this ticket with the dispatch time and the drive time and the drive distance. For this example here, we'll just go to mine. So for me, you see I have a full schedule for the 4th of September. Here are 2 example tickets, which our dispatchers can look at to compare which one they want to replace with the new ticket that's an urgent ticket. So you simply can click on these ones. There could be multiple ones in there. So you can click on it so you can then compare which one you feel comfortable with removing, or rather, which one you feel comfortable with replacing with the new one here. These here are referring to the drive time and the drive distance. So in this case, it's relatively small. It's 1 second less driving and less than 1 kilometer driving. It could be the case that you're saving yourself 15 minutes and 18 kilometers. Could be the case. A negative value means you're saving time. A positive value means you're adding time. So in this case, we're saving time. So all I got to do is to replace a ticket. It's going to choose one of these on its own. It's going to replace both of these. I'm replacing one ticket with both of these because I don't have time because I'm actually over time here. So it's going to remove these 2 tickets and replace it with this 1 ticket. It could be more, it could be less, it could be no tickets as well. So once I hit save, you're going to see it replace those 2 tickets. These 2 tickets are then going to go back to the ticket pool. So now these 2 tickets are back in the ticket pool. This ticket's now replaced with the force schedule. So that's a really great feature for your dispatchers when they have full schedules and they don't know what to do, they don't know what to replace, and you have a nice quick glance on how much better it is. All right, another scheduling assistant one. We have improved the tooltips over engineers. So we introduced before, we have tooltips, and when you hover over it, it showed a tooltip. In this case, it showed no availability on selected data or on selected date. There is the case where sometimes there's multiple reasons, not just the one, and we weren't displaying that before. So it may have been confusing for dispatchers to not know exactly what the issue is. So we now include, if there's more than one reason, it's going to show all the reasons that this engineer is not available. So in this case, we have missing mandatory skills, and we have no availability for the selected date for this engineer. So that is a nice to have. All right, next feature. Optimizing. May or may not know, we have the optimizing option here. We can go in here, you can select your date, you can select just quick optimize, you can select an engineer. All is great, everything works fine. But we made it even easier to optimize a single engineer. So now you can simply go to the engineers menu here, and you can optimize directly from the engineer itself. You can either optimize a timeline or optimize the engineer will drag tickets from the ticket pool into the timeline and so on and so forth. Without going through all this stuff in this menu, you can now do it directly from any of the engineers by accessing their submenu here and optimize the engineer directly from the timeline. All right, another cool one, we have skills per user. So you create your skills in the admin panel, and each skill has their own user, each user has their own skills assigned to them, right? So you can see the skills here. And we've always had the level here before, but we didn't display this level anywhere. So you might have been setting this level 3 could be a senior, level 2 would be mid-level, and level 1 could be junior. Whatever metrics you use to do the level 3 is higher, level 1 is lower. So I've adjusted some of my skills here, and now we display these skills on the popover, you hover over the engineer. So now you'll see a little star system. So 3 stars is level 3, 2 stars is level 2, and 1 star is level 1. So you can compare your engineers, which one has a higher, for whatever reason, French. You need a guy who's really good at French. This guy's obviously not very good. He's like a level 1 French. You want someone who's a level 2 or level 3, you know not to go with this engineer right at the glance there. So that's good to have. All right. So let's jump over to customer portal. So you guys know what the customer portal looks like. We have the progress bar, we have the details, and then we have the comment section below, the status updates. We've added some new settings to the customer portal page. So now when you go into, we have the option to hide the progress bar. For whatever reason, you may not want the end user to see the progress bar. They're not interested, you're not interested. For whatever reason, you can now remove the progress bar for this project. So if you just simply click on this switch here, disable it, save it, and then the progress bar will disappear. And no longer the end user will see it and be bothered by the progress of the ticket as you need. We've also introduced some further. First, let's take a look here. So we have the default. When you click on book appointment, the default is all available options for the end user to pick an appointment from. They can pick whatever they want. As before, we've now introduced the option to remove this. Yeah, so this is by default on. So when you turn this off and save it, it's not going to show any of it. It's going to be all green. So the end user is not going to be restricted in any way on what appointment they pick. So this is to limit the view for the end user, so they're not restricted on or confused, like, well, what date do I pick? Well, I don't know, understand it. So if you turn it off, the end user can pick whatever date they need to, and then dispatcher can confirm it and whatever they need to do. So that's with it off. And as I mentioned before, by default, this is as it was before this release. This is new, so when you turn it off as new, so it shows all green for the end user. And also you notice these buttons here are displayed once you check this on. These buttons were here before, they were just down here. So obviously, if you're not trying to show availability, we don't need to enable the strict engineer and strict parts availability as well. So when you turn this on, you can then further restrict it further as needed. If you want strict engineer or strict parts availability, you can continue to use this. Very good. Workflow. We've updated the UI a little bit. So now the workflows are similar to that of lists, where you can go into, and we've added versioning now to workflow. So as workflows get updated, you'll see the current version or each version of the workflow here. You can see in this case, version 1 had 30 nodes, version 1.0.1 has 34 nodes. So the first workflow will be the current version. So yeah, this is just what we've added there. So you now can see versioning. This is just in preparation for more further enhancements and improvements to workflow. So there'll be many more to come. Going back to the workplace, we have added a couple new reports for Management Insights report, or rather a couple new tabs for the Management Insights report. So we've added, a few weeks ago, we've added development overview by date, engineer overview, and engineer overview details. My account's not very filled with a lot of data, so it's kind of hard to tell, but if you take a look at the images in the release notes, you can see a better example of what should happen. So in this case, let me go back here. So we have the development overview. This is just comparing tickets or in this case, average tickets per day, because we have different measures here. You can click on this to get different calculations based off the measurements up here. So in this case, default average tickets per day. So you can see here in this development overview, 2 days ago, I had 0 tickets. Yesterday, I had 1 ticket. So that's an improvement. So we consider that a good thing. So we have 1 ticket more than we did yesterday. And it goes on down the line. So 2 weeks ago and last week, 2 months ago and last month. If it's less, it'll show red because you had more tickets 2 days ago and less tickets today. So that's bad thing. Not really a bad thing, but it's just what it is. We can also have the overview by date, where you can have more of a fine tuning, so you can pick the date you want to select the date. If you want to stretch it out here, you can do all that. So this is a second date range and a first date range. You can do day, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. Same thing with the engineer overview. We have all the same measurements here. You can use to compare different engineers. We have a lot of options here on the side. The one thing that is different is we have it for engineer overview with details as well, except we didn't have a lot of real estate to put the measures here, but the measures are right here. The same measures we have here, they're just going to drop down here, as we just didn't have the space to put it up top, but they are there, don't worry. And please, again, take a look at our manual for the finer details. All right, going back to the workplace here, we have added the ticket score to the overview on the ticket details page. So now you'll be able to see the ticket score. Before, the ticket score is only available here. You can see the score on this thing. It wasn't available visually in much other places. So we've added it now to the overview page here. If there's a ticket score populated, it will obviously show it there. So as you can see in the example here, we have the ticket score 66. Yeah, so for your convenience, we added it to the overview page as well. Another cool one, different permissions and different roles, we have a project filter. And before the project filter, when you set the permission and you filter by project, it would just filter the projects you can see for the user that this role was assigned to, but it did not limit the lists, these project lists here. So it would still show every project that was activated, deactivated. It ignored the filter. That's no longer the case. So now when you go into permissions and you have your separate roles for all your users, this filter for project now works for all the dropdowns within Workplace as well. So now I just added another project to the view. So if I hit save, go here, refresh it quick. Now I have content, Walker photo, and project blue for my listed projects. So here, and create ticket, here in Excel importer, I have the 3 projects, as well as any of the clone tickets. These 3 projects are available, and everywhere else where the project filter is at here in the Workplace. So that is a nice to have, because no longer cluttering your user's view, and they don't need to see the projects list of other projects they're not concerned about. All right, before I move to FMA, just some smaller fixes here. We used to have a tooltip that would pop up, but it annoyed a lot of people when you hover over this dispatch view area. This, obviously, you can't see it no more. It's no longer annoying anybody. So that has been removed. That will not bother anybody anymore. And lists got a little bit, you can now reorder lists directly from the list itself by going here. Before, if you move to different tabs around here, it wouldn't actually stay after you save it. It does now stay as needed. So that's nice to have. All right, FMA got some love as well. So we've, as before, we always had the archive page here. But before, the archive was saved locally on the device. And when you logged out of the device, the archive would disappear. So the engineer had no view on past tickets he has done. We've now introduced an online archive. All tickets the engineers worked on will now be available in the archive. So I'm gonna start using I'll just continue with the mouse here. So now you can simply check by day, check by week, check by month. So by month, I do have several tickets here. By week, you can just skip through the weeks and find your tickets as needed. You can also click on here to see the different maps. You can also see there's a little hint on where a ticket is. You can obviously see, okay, on the 29th, there's a ticket. I don't have a very active account, so it's not very exciting looking, but they are here. If you click by month, you can just go by month. Click by day, you can select separate days as needed. This is just a nice little graph on different tickets here. And same as in the iOS. I have to use my finger for this, and I don't have a mouse, sorry. So the archive works similar. You can open up the calendar. You can go by month. You can look around. And this has every ticket the engineers worked on, so they can go back and review, what did I do on that last ticket? What took place on that last ticket? So they can go back to that ticket, look at all the details, look at the report, whatever happens, look at the history, so on and so forth. Also with iOS, we have improved the way you can get to the list, and map. So in iOS, in Android, we had the map button on the bottom here. So you could simply click on the map or list easily. iOS before, you had to go to the filter, go to layout, and click on map. And going back, you had to go back. Now you can see the icon right next to it, right here. Simply click on the icon just to get to the map view, and click back to get back to list view. So nice, quick, and easy to get to the different views. And another really cool one is device serial numbers. So a lot of tickets come in with a device that has a serial number that has been worked on in the past. And the engineer goes inside his ticket. He sees his device. He goes, have I worked on this device before? Now we have a magnifying glass. So now once the engineer goes in there, he can simply click on this magnifying glass and see the complete history of this device, of every ticket that it's been attached to. Same in iOS. So you simply click on the magnifying glass or the link, and it'll open up the list of devices that has been on old tickets. So you can go back and research, what did I do, what did I replace, what kind of parts you use, whatever, what have you. That's a really great feature. A caveat to this is that if active, the users will only see tickets assigned to them. So if this switch is on, I'm only going to see the device list and the FMA of tickets that I worked on with the same serial number. So if I turn this off, I'm going to see all tickets of every engineer that was worked on this device. Yeah. So this is an important switch. Leave it off if you want your engineers to see all the history, complete history of this device serial number. Or if you leave it on, they only see the history of when that engineer worked on the device. All right. Thanks, everybody. I hope that was helpful. And I look forward to talking to you again in the next release meeting.